Hi, I'm Ethan and I'm a physio at Westcoast SCI, and today I'm going to take you through a few different strengthening exercises for runners. So it's really common for runners to have some weaknesses in different areas, especially if you don't do any additional strength training. And strength training can be really important to help prevent injuries because we're putting a lot of load through our bodies every time that we go for a run. So making sure our muscles are strong enough to kind of withstand that is going to be a really important thing. So these exercises are going to target some of those areas. All right, so this first exercise is going to focus on single leg strength and stability, which is a really important thing for runners because every single time you step, you're needing to have a lot of strength and stability in each leg to land and take off. So for this one, you're just going to need a seat. You can choose a low seat if you want it to be a little bit more difficult, or a higher seat if you need it to be a little bit easier. And you're essentially just going to stand on one leg, and you're going to very slowly stand up without using any momentum and lower yourself back down. If that's, like I said, if that's too difficult, then you can go from a higher seat height. If that's too easy, you can go from a lower seat height. If that's all still fairly easy, the next way to progress that is by doing something called a pistol squat. So that's when you do it without the seat. And if, like when you're getting started, even if you're only just going to about here and back up, that's totally fine. And you can try and progress to the point where you can go all the way down and all the way back up. Now with these exercises, it's important that we don't try anything too difficult, at least until you get used to it. So aim for about 10 repetitions before you progress to the next level. Okay, so for this next exercise, it's going to focus on some calf strengthening, but it's going to specifically target the muscles that we use even more so when we're running. So a lot of people, when they think about calf strengthening, they think about keeping their knees nice and straight and going up on their toes and up and down. And those are great exercises, but something that's often missed is strengthening the muscles that work a little bit more when our knees are bent. And if you think about when you're running, most of the time when you're landing and taking off, your knees are a little bit bent. No one runs like this. So instead we want to train those muscles a little bit more. So the way to do that is we can go against a wall like this. We're just going to bend our leg a little bit, and then we're going to try and do that same exercise coming up and down on your toes, and it'll feel a little bit different than when your knee's straight. Now if that's too easy, we can also try going up on a step and doing the same thing, knee bent, trying to keep the knee at the same angle the whole time, and it's just your ankle going up and down and going up on your toes, and then you can come down a little bit further as well. Okay, so this next exercise is going to focus on some glute strengthening as well, and same thing, we're going to focus on the single leg aspect to it. So it's going to be very similar to an exercise you've probably seen before, a glute bridge. So we're going to be lying down on our back like this, but instead of using both legs, we're going to lift one leg up, cross our hands over our chest, and you're just going to be lifting up and lifting down, nice and slow and controlled. If this is too easy for you, if we want to target the hamstrings a little bit more, we can just move the foot out a little bit, and then you'll feel it. It'll be a little bit more difficult, and you'll feel it lower down in the leg down here instead of up here in your glutes. And if that's too difficult, then you can bring the leg a little bit closer to you and do it there. So these next exercises you will need a band for, something like this that forms a nice loop. And basically these are going to be strengthening your hip flexors, which, as I've talked about, are really important for runners because we use them a lot while we run. So the first one is we're going to loop it around our feet like this, and you can turn against a wall, and you're just going to focus on keeping the rest of your body nice and straight as we march and bring our legs up and down. Now if that's fairly easy, the other way that you can do it is lying down on your back. Same thing, we're going to put the band around our feet. We're going to hold our legs up like this and make sure that there's no space between your lower back and the floor, and you're just going to bring one leg up and down like this. And this one you might feel it a little bit more in your abs as well as your hip flexors. All right, so these next couple set of exercises are going to be focused on working the muscles in the sides of your hips right in here. So if you're not feeling it working in that area, then just check your form and make sure you're doing it correctly. So we're going to use a band for these ones as well. There's two different levels. The first one, we're going to try putting the band around the knees. We're going to go into a little bit of an athletic position, and we're just going to do a side shuffle back and forth. So really slowly going out to the side and making sure that the band is staying nice and tight, and that we're not letting it kind of pull our leg back. And if that feels too easy, then we'll just slide the band down to the ankles, and we'll do the exact same thing. And this should feel a little bit more difficult, but still keeping it nice and slow and controlled the whole way. All right, for the last 2 exercises for today, again, you can choose which level or which one feels the best for you. The first one's going to use a band, and then the second one without. So it also depends if you have a band at home or not. But we're going to throw it around the knees. And both of these exercises are going to be on one leg at a time. So again, we're training that kind of single leg strength and stability. So the first one, we're going to lift one leg up, band around the knees, trying to keep the hips nice and level and the torso nice and straight. And we're just going to lift the leg out to the side and back in. You should feel this a little bit on both sides, in the sides of the hips, and staying nice and stable and keeping balance the whole time. And the second one that you can try if you don't have a band is going to be similar, standing on one leg. You can stick the other leg out behind you, and you're going to think about kind of rotating back and forth. So it's going to look like this. And this one's called a hip airplane, and you're going to kind of open up the hips and close. And you should feel this on the leg, that's the stance leg that's on the ground in that hip.
Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments if you have any suggestions for future videos. If you enjoyed what you saw, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. See you next time.